right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to week 47 of the Millennial Product Manager podcast. I think that's what we're calling it now. Sure. Sounds good. Welcome to the week before Thanksgiving. I'm back down here in my dungeon. The 3D printer is going here in the kids' playroom and preparing for Thanksgiving. It's going to be great. I won't be doing a pod next week, obviously. I think everybody's going to be in their food coma, drinking, watching football, hanging out with your loved ones. So no need to check in on the podcast next week. We will be out of town. I grew up in Dallas, so I'm taking the whole family to Dallas. We get to watch the Texas game there in Dallas, and I'm worried. As a Longhorn alum, yeah, worried. Well, we'll see how this week goes and next week goes too. But big eventful week this week. The first thing I wanted to talk about, obviously a huge release from Google this week with Gemini 3. I've been using it, of course. It's impressive. The thing is, like, the pro part, the thinking part is a bit annoying. Hopefully they release a version of Gemini 3 fast that I can use for day-to-day stuff. But what is happening, though, as a result of this release is that I'm really reconsidering my tech stack here. Like, I used to think I was going to be a ChatGPT user going forward, and that's just the platform that I was going to use. But honestly, the Gemini 3 release has really got me thinking. This, and then the news that Apple is going to use Gemini likely for their Siri implementation in March, has really gotten me thinking, when you use something like Google and you use something like your Apple product, your iPhone, your iPad, your MacBook, those offerings have a robust platform that come with the AI solution, right? It's not just about Gemini. It's not going to be just about whatever Siri looks like in March. It's the fact that all that stuff works well with Gemini or works well with Siri. Like Gemini, one of the things I've noticed about using Gemini is that Gemini can search all of my Gmail. I can ask it questions about Gmail. It works natively. It can pull stuff from my calendar. It works with Google Search, and Google Search obviously is a powerhouse, incredibly accurate. They're not building stuff from scratch. When I use Siri, it works with my Apple reminders. It works with my notes. It works with my mail. It has all of my previous account history in both places. And so it really just highlights that I think going forward, the winners in the AI space are going to be the ones that couple AI with their platform advantage. It's not just about the models. The models are great. Obviously, having a frontier model or a model that's really, really effective is important. But it's everything around that experience. Like, it's the full offering that I think gives something like Gemini an advantage, gives Apple solution, whenever that comes out and whenever that comes to market, gives that an advantage. So, I think it's really impressive what Gemini and Google have shipped this week. Of course, Apple, once it officially enters the AI game, is going to be such a huge powerhouse. So many people have Apple devices, especially here in the US. So Apple has, by default, a huge base for their AI products to work with. Siri, to this point, I think it's an honest thing to say. Siri has been a disappointment, and they have an opportunity to really build something great and really fulfill the promise of what Siri was supposed to be. And the fact that it's all integrated in the platform is a huge thing. Like, anytime you look at an AI product, you're thinking about product strategy. Don't discount the platform investment. Don't discount the platform experience that you're going to offer along with the AI experience, right? What we're finding is that AI by itself is not enough. And Gemini, I think, is going to prove that. Like, I'm basically using it as my daily driver. I'm trying to now, and it performs a lot better than it used to. So that's been a surprise. So that was my first takeaway for the podcast this week. I guess related, the second thing I've been thinking about is, I think if you work in tech, I think if you work the kind of job that I do as a product manager, there's always this itch to be entrepreneurial and do something on your own or just do something on the side for fun. And one of the things I've noticed is that I'm really struggling with what I would want to invest in on the side or as a little startup in software. Like, I actually am struggling with just what is even valuable anymore. Like we were talking about, platform plus AI is really valuable. And so like it's not enough to go build an AI based chat experience for XYZ thing. Like I'm finding that's not enough, and I'm finding I'm having a hard time thinking of things to make that, of course, leverage AI and are AI native, but are valuable without the platform investment that's required. And creating platforms is hard. Creating marketplaces is hard. It's a lot of grind, right? It doesn't just happen out of the box. But even that, like the things that I used to think were so difficult are not that difficult anymore. Like AI has really simplified a lot of things that you would have had to build, but the things that are really hard still remain about building platforms that are useful, building experiences and, business value that's useful. But it's changing. It changes I feel like it changes every hour. What's actually valuable, what's actually useful. Whole startups are getting destroyed. Whole companies are getting destroyed overnight. And there's a big gold rush. And of course, like people are taking chances and trying to figure out what's going to be worth it. But man, it's really difficult to figure out what to invest in on the software side. I think that angle that I was talking about earlier is going to be one big angle, but starting something yourself, it's a challenge right now because it's just hard to say what's really going to shake out of all of this. So the third thing I'm thinking about is work related, and then I'll get to the fun thing at the end. I came across this video of Elon Musk talking about the 5 key things he's learned building things, and he's standing in front of a rocket. I think a lot of us have seen this video. It's been a while since I've seen it. And one of the things he's talking about is how often engineers, technical people don't ask the question of if the thing that they're working on is the right thing to be working on. They're so heads down and focused on optimizing the thing that exists already that they don't stop and ask the question why this product exists, why this experience exists, why it should continue to exist. And I've actually been running into that a lot lately, coming back to the point that I was talking about earlier about how AI is totally changing the game on what's valuable in software, what's not valuable in software. There are things that I have built or that have been built as part of my job that I actually doubt are valuable anymore or should continue to exist in this new world that we're all living in. And I'm finding that it is actually difficult to get people to move on from these implementations. Even things that were built 6 months ago or a year ago, it's worth questioning the value of keeping it around. But I don't see that happening. And it reminds me of this point that Elon Musk is making, that sometimes due to sunk cost fallacy or sometimes we get really invested in something, it's hard to walk away. I guess that is sunk cost fallacy. Due to sunk cost fallacy, it's hard to walk away from something. It's hard to really think about, if it's worth continuing to invest in something that's already been built, if you have the right solution or if you need to rework it or get rid of it completely. This world that we're living in with AI and building AI products, I'm finding that you have to ask that question more and more and more. Just the value of systems that exist and the need to build something completely new is definitely out there. I'll link to the video in the post. Regardless of how you feel about Elon Musk, I think some of the points in that video are pretty valid. Okay, and finally, as you know, I've been on this robotics adventure. You can hear the 3D printer going in the background. The learning curve for robotics is steep, and that includes things like 3D printing, what I have going on here. Like, it's taken me a lot of test prints and testing and trying new things to figure out how to properly print things. If you follow me here on Substack or you're watching stuff I post on Instagram, you've probably seen some of the examples that I've been printing of like R2D2. I'll put the pictures in the post here. But, when I printed R2D2 the first time, I printed a large version of him, and then I printed him with a ton of supports. But the problem was those supports are just like glued onto him the way that I printed them on. And so I can't get them off. It's like impossible. And And then I learned how to use tree supports, and that's gone a lot better, but I still have to learn how to remove them properly or print them properly so they're easily removed. And then like I had to transition using softwares. So the Creality printer that I have comes with a default software that just was messing everything up in terms of slicing models to print them properly. So then I had to switch to Orca Slicer and get that dialed in and like find out from TikTok and YouTube how to properly print things on Orca Slicer. And so that's just been a journey by itself. But now, like, I'm messing with this Jetson or a Nano board from NVIDIA, and I'm back in the engineering days of like flashing firmware and loading stuff via an SD card and installing SSD to expand the memory so it can handle things like models and real-time models and computing at the edge. And it is just a lot to learn. Honestly, though, it's probably the most fun I've had with technology in a good while. So I think that's a telling sign. Like the more I spend time with it, the more I'm like, oh yeah, this is fun. And this is like hardcore engineering stuff that I learned in school. So in that sense, it's like really great. And I think it fulfills a need, especially given just the flux that I'm feeling in the software world of just like what to build that's even valuable. But man, the robotic stuff is really fun. I can feel every day, the more time I spend with it, the better I'm getting. And, you know, we'll get through this steep learning curve at some point. But yeah, it is steep. Like it is not for the faint of heart. But, you know, like a few things that are worth doing are easy. Most things that are worth doing are really hard. It's been a really fun challenge, especially, you know, something that you think about when you're 41, where I am, is that you think that you're done learning and then you've learned everything that you can learn and then you can't learn quickly and stuff. And it turns out you still got a pretty good motor and you can learn stuff really fast. I definitely feel that way as part of this journey. It's different. It's challenging when you have kids. Like it's definitely, your schedule looks different. You don't have enough time to do any of this stuff, but man, is it fun and I'm learning a lot. So that's been a really, really rewarding journey. Anyway, that's it for this week. Thanksgiving's around the corner. Today, I don't know what it's been like for everybody here at work, but today it's like collectively everybody at the company was just like, all right, Thanksgiving is almost here. Let's give up, and canceled a bunch of meetings. And I think that's great. You know, we've all worked really hard. There's been a lot of change, a lot of crazy stuff happening this year. So happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Hope you enjoy the break, and we'll see you when we get back. Cheers.